Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thanks for pressing that play button. In today's vlog, we're actually going to do two different things. Number one, we're going to go ahead and hook up a USB cable to the DSC controller on the Corvette. And number two, we're going to update the firmware and calibration of the device to give the car an even better ride. Also, guys, stay tuned till the end of the video for more subscriber rides. Like I said a couple times, it's awesome that we can get to know each other through our rides, so definitely stay tuned for that at the end of this video. So for those of you who don't know, the DSC controller is actually right back in here. You can't really see it too well, but with a flashlight, you can actually see some of the lettering and the USB port we're going to be using. So ultimately what I need to do is pop off this XL rock guard here, turn the wheel to gain me access to the inner fender well here, and I can reach my hand up in here and plug in a USB cable. It's a USB mini, and what I'm going to do afterwards is actually route it up through the engine bay and right into the actual car so I can do a couple different things. Like I said, I want to update the firmware. One just came out the other day from DSC, and of course they also updated the calibration file to give you even better performance with this thing. That's one of the biggest reasons I love this thing so much, is that there is constantly new calibration files coming out. The owner tests his ZR1 or the Z06 and finds better numbers for the actual unit to allow a softer or stiffer ride and kind of level things out even more than it already does. After I get the new calibration file installed, I'm going to take it for a ride and let you know what my feelings are on all the differences. There is a good chance I already have the most recent firmware because it was actually released a couple days ago, but the file itself existed since May 11th. So there's a good chance this DSC controller I have already has that, and I'll show you how we can test it. Well, I'm going to plug in my laptop and we're actually going to pull the firmware from the device to see if I need the update. If I do, I'll run it. If not, we'll skip that part. But ultimately today is going to really be for updating the actual calibration file. And another cool thing that the controller actually has is the ability to zero the ride height of the car. So this was something that wasn't done at DSC that I can remember, at least. Ultimately what you do is you plug it into the computer, you run their software, and you can zero the ride height. You might be asking, well, what does that mean? Basically what it's going to do is allow that controller to know where the absolute zero of the strut is, or where basically the car is perfectly level. Now the cool part about this is I can zero out that mag ride height while I'm sitting in the car. So it will actually adjust for my weight in the car. That way, while I'm sitting in it, the DSC controller will know exactly where everything is level, and the struts can then compensate correctly. So we're going to do all three of those things starting now. First, let's go ahead and get that wheel turned. We're going to go ahead and use a 7mm to get the bolt off of the splash guard underneath, and then we'll just pop off all these clips. There are going to be 3 T15 Torx head screws. We'll take those out, and then I should be able to pull the fender well liner back enough that I'll be able to get in and put in the USB cable. I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this, but right there is the DSC controller. If you can see it well, right up here is the actual USB port right there. So here's the cable, guys. Like I said, it is a USB mini cable. It's nothing special. I ordered it online. It's 6 foot, so it should more than reach into the car from the actual fender well. It's not weatherproof. I couldn't really find anyone that was, but from what DSC told me, that actual connector doesn't really need to be weatherproof. As you can see, it's completely exposed to the elements, and I asked Jeremy about it at DSC, and he said it wasn't a big deal because basically that connector is sealed off for the most part from the rest of the board, so if water were to get in there, it's not really going to cause any issues with the actual motherboard of the device or anything. Even though it sounds like it's completely weatherproofed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slather the end of this USB in dielectric grease to help prevent any water from getting in there. And ultimately, once I plug the USB cable in, it's going to stay in there. It's never coming out again because I don't want to have to go through this every single time I want to update the firmware. So I'm going to make sure there's a bunch of grease on there, plug it in, and then route it into the car and store it up under the dash. That way I can constantly access it. Now, before we get started with actually plugging that cable into the connector, what I'm going to do is start removing the pieces up here I'm going to need for clearance to run the cable down through. This plastic part right here is all a separate piece, right up to this rubber weather seal right here. This whole thing will pop out and leave this area exposed so I can drop something down behind the fender, and then we'll route it into the actual cabin. And there it is. So as you can see on the back, there's just a couple clips holding it in place. We'll put that back after we route the cable. And as you can see right here, now it gives me a hole down into the fender. I got the cable started. As you can see, it goes right in that hole there. And if we look down in here, you can actually see the end of the cable right there. I have the end of the cable pulled all the way through right there, and the other end going down through there. I'm gonna go ahead and put some dielectric grease on the end of this now and get it plugged into the actual connector behind the fender here. I got the connection made in there. You should be able to see it's plugged in with a good bit of dielectric grease all around it. So we're good to continue routing this cable. Of course, at this point, you'd want to test it just to make sure nothing's wrong with that cable or anything before you start buttoning everything up. But I've already done that off screen, so we're good to go. Before we start messing around with anything, I'm gonna go ahead and button everything up out here. The 3 T15 Torx screws, and then put the XL mudguard back on, and then we can finish routing that cable and start playing with some numbers. So we got everything buttoned up right here. Now the next step is to come inside the car, and we're gonna continue running this cable through. It's actually gonna go up under this black piece of plastic here. I actually took out the T15 bolt right there to continue the wire behind the plastic piece. Just so you know, that might make your job a little easier. Then you can just grab this weather seal and pull it out of the way, and then continue to route the cable behind it. That way it is completely weatherproof once we're all done here. Once you get it behind that seal, you can go ahead and put it back in just like factory. Then we're going to take a trim pry tool and pop off this little piece of plastic right here, which will give us access to the last little bit we need to get the cable inside the car. And there it is. So I got it through here. And then once I got this trim piece off, there's actually a gap right here. You can stick the other end of the USB down through there, and it's down underneath the dash now. So there's where it comes out. Now it gives me probably an additional 3 feet maybe. I'm gonna coil this up and keep it under the dash whenever I'm not using it. But honestly, that 6-foot cable was like $4 on Amazon, and of course I'll link that in the description down below if you guys need one. But I'm gonna go ahead and clip the pieces back on here, and then we're gonna start playing around in the actual DSC tuning software. I actually just fully read the board, which is gonna save all my current settings, just in case the new calibration file I'm not happy with, I can come back. Basically, for this step, you wanna make sure the car is completely off, because the power needed is actually given through the USB, so no additional power and nothing pulling from the car in order for these settings to be saved on the computer. So now to test to see if I have the current firmware, I'm gonna go to Tools, Codes and Configuration, Start, and then just hit the letter V under write out, and then hit send. And yeah, sure enough, you can see there, I have the updated firmware as of 5/11/19, and that is the one we were gonna load. So I can skip that step. To write the new calibration file, we're just gonna go to File, Open, and you'll just navigate to your actual file here and double click it. Now this is the new file. This is the one recommended from DSC as of June 11th. Then after we have it open here, we'll go to Tools and then Write All, and then hit Begin. And as you can see there, it is now writing it to my controller. Then we'll zero out the suspension and head out for a test drive. After it finishes writing, we're going to go up to Tools and then Reset Board, just to make sure that everything in the actual DSC controller has been reset and is now accepting the new calibration file. Now, I actually pulled the car into my driveway where I know it's pretty level, because to zero out the mag ride and everything, you're going to want to make sure the car is as level as possible with you in the driver's seat. Now, with the car running, we can go in here and check the actual ride heights. And if you look at the left front ride height, it's -75, showing basically it's down too low. That should be 0. Left right is -53. Right front is -33. Right rear is -16. So basically these should all be set at 0 or pretty freaking close. And since they're not, with me in the car, if I actually bounce up and down, you can see the numbers kind of fluctuate. But basically this should all be zeroed out. So that's what we're going to do right now. As far as setting this to zero travel, it's pretty easy. You just want to go into Tools, then under the Settings tab, and then go to Zero Travel. It's going to open up a prompt, ask you if you want to set them to zero, say yes, and then hit OK. After that, we're going to go up to Tools and reset the board. With the board reset, now we can go in and actually pull up the information again and see what we're sitting at now. And as you can see, they're all set to zero now. And I just took a ride in the car, and yeah, I can definitely tell a difference. Sport mode feels a lot less floaty, which I hate that word to describe this because it's not really the best thing. Basically, sport rides a little stiffer than it used to. Overall, all of the settings are softer than they used to be, and somehow still do not handle any less. So in sport mode, it's a little stiffer than it was with the original calibration, but around a turn, it feels exactly the same. The car stays perfectly level, everything's planted. The biggest difference is going to be over bumps, especially if you're driving and cornering at the same time as hitting a bump. The car doesn't skid like it used to. It literally just stays planted. The softer calibration over certain bumps literally keep the tires on the pavement, not skidding across. All right, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. If you liked what you saw, give me a big thumbs up. If you have any questions about the DSC controller or anything you saw here today, shoot them in the comment section down below or send me an email, and I'll make sure that I answer any questions that I might have left unanswered today in this video. I have some more subscriber ride pictures coming up next, so stay tuned for that. And as always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one.